More than 15,000 scientists are sounding an alarm about climate change. They call it a warning to humanity.
Climate change is an issue that seems far off in the future. However, across the globe, its effects are already being seen. Sea levels have risen globally by 8 inches since 1901 and may rise 12 to 36 more inches by the end of the century. The consequences of climate change damage public transportation systems, private property, and create major health and safety risks for every person living in coastal towns and cities.
As ocean waters warm, glaciers and polar ice caps melt, and so do the massive ice sheets covering Antarctica and our neighbor to the north, Greenland.
And where does it go? Towards Boston.
Boston is extremely vulnerable to the impact that climate change has and will continue to have. Communities with existing social vulnerabilities, such as low income, immigrant, or communities of colors, often suffer at a disproportionate rate compared to the general population. 63% of East Boston's population identifies as people of color. 44% of the population have limited proficiency in English. Of all the neighborhoods in Boston, East Boston has the most risk of coastal storms and flooding. As the sea level rises, as much as 50% of East Boston residents, as well as Logan International Airport, could have a 10% annual chance of being hit with devastating flooding.
Without proper changes in human activity and the development of adequate infrastructure, the effects of climate change in Boston and across the globe will only get worse. Many organizations are taking action and developing plans to combat against the effects of climate change that are already impacting Boston's community. Through stakeholder interviews, we were able to learn more about the direct action that is being taken in Boston to combat against climate change.
We were able to talk to Robert Barton of Greenovate Boston, an organization with the goal of building a more resilient city. Greenovate believes in empowering and educating the residents of Boston in order to make progress and have set goals for the future of Boston's environmental health. Greenovate has a goal of building a climate-ready, carbon-free city that is healthy, innovative, and thriving. Their first neighborhood coastal resilience plan focused on East Boston, and they are currently analyzing the best resilient options for the South Boston neighborhood with the Climate Ready South Boston project. By preparing Boston's communities for climate change, Greenovate hopes to ensure the safety, health, and livability of the city for current and future generations.
Another interview was conducted with Mia Mansfield, who manages the Climate Ready Boston initiative for the City of Boston Office of Environment, Energy, and Open Space. Mia stated that both East Boston and Charlestown are the most affected neighborhoods because they already face great flood risk challenges. Climate Ready Boston has developed a multi-step plan to directly reduce flood vulnerabilities, specifically in these neighborhoods. In their first step for action, it is essential to identify the issues specific to the community and also be aware of the risks that both the community and its members could face. For example, on Border Street, there is a risk of there being 9 inches of sea level rising projected to occur by 2030. Another step of the plan to directly reduce flood vulnerabilities is to invest in demonstration projects. This step is financially crucial in order for the city to spend several $1 million to fund new implementations and infrastructural ideas. The fourth step in this plan of action is to recognize the community organizing is essential in order to prosper. For example, Mia's office and organization like Greenovate work to educate and collaborate with community members. They have trained over 70 residents on Climate Ready Boston findings and provide small grants to host community meetings and conversations on climate resilience. Both Greenovate and the City of Boston are working together to provide the people with the tools they need to educate their communities about climate resilience in order to keep Boston the city that it is today for future generations.